Well, we were trying to talk to how you
So,
doing,
like,
Dave?
yeah, pretty good, man. Yeah.
Oh, these masks. Are you guys tired of these masks yet? This is ridiculous. Oh, man. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Good.
Still feeling good?
Yeah, still feeling pretty good, but boy, I am sick
you-
to death of these masks, man.
Me too. You have to wear them all day, right?
Dude, I work. Yeah, everywhere I go with work, I have to wear one.
Yeah, it was funny. I was editing some video that I took. Well, I was gathering it up. It was the last big exterior job that I did right when I retired from that finally, and I took some time lapse stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and in virtually every one of those, I'm wearing a mask because I was doing prep work on the house, on the video.
But that's actually,
But that was
for a
actually-
real reason.
Yeah, I had to wear these things
You're
all the time
actually
anyway.
wearing it for a real reason.
Right. Yeah, so it was kind of a interesting and busy week. I wanted to thank all you guys out there that tuned in and watched that common decency thing. It wasn't getting that much of a response. But I did a thing in there where I linked to a friend's song that was about decency.
Yeah,
right?
I saw that. Yeah.
And a lot of people then went over to his channel, and that video has the most views that he's ever had on a video, and all these really nice comments telling him, giving him an attaboy. He's a real talented guy.
Yeah.
Rick,
it's a great song.
Rick
I heard
Taylor.
It.
And so, but the other weird thing is that then got picked up by a thing called Catholic Current. It's a radio show. They talk about issues of morality and things like that. It got picked. They saw that video, and so now they've invited me on their show.
Do they know your history?
This
is on morality, right? You said.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to, very carefully steer around giant chunks of my life.
You're like, well, I was born, and at age 4, we'll just stop there. We'll come back at age 50. Now
he's a Catholic priest. The guy, Father Robert Teague, I think is his name. And I'll just say, okay, wait, before we start talking about morality, you are familiar with the parable of the prodigal son?
Yeah, there you
go.
Okay,
right? We're
there,
good.
There
We're
you
good.
go. That's funny.
Sinners, yeah. So I'm taping that show with them Monday morning. It's going to be a full hour. So those of you on the East Coast, I'll put a little announcement up when I'm going to be. Is it going to be? Is it on radio?
Okay, so it's on it's actual radio.
It's actually radio. There's no video.
Oh, that's cool.
And then they publish it as a podcast later. And they sent me an example of it, and the example they sent me was Bill Whittle.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because Bill Whittle was, in a sense, my model when we started doing this. I thought, well, I don't know what to do.
You've always spoke highly of Bill Whittle.
I always liked Bill Whittle.
He has a calm way of explaining all the stuff he likes to get into.
He gets a little fired up from time to time, though. I don't know if any of you guys out there are Bill Whittle fans, but
I only really watched the stuff he did where it was shot and edited. Yeah, not the stuff when he's live. I haven't watched anything like that.
Most of it now is live stuff. Usually he does it with 2 other guys, Scott Ott, or something like that, and somebody else, Green. I don't know. I forget the other guy's name. Steve Green.
Okay.
And they do a little thing where they talk back and forth and little 10-minute segments.
Well, I feel like it's easier to get going in that live setting because someone says something and then you start thinking, you start talking, you start getting going. Yeah. Where when you sit down and write your piece out, you go like, I want to, we think about how we want this to come across. Sometimes we write something that's more of a rant. Sometimes we write something that's...
You actually think of how something's going to come across?
I try to.
I wonder if that's why you're being more successfthe than me lately.
I try to. I don't know. If that's the case.
Yeah, apparently I'm not doing enough thinking about that.
No.
All the YouTube stations, the YouTube gurus, they all just say, how to get your channel to be big. Just go in there, look at the ones that did well, and do more of that.
Yeah, exactly. How can we?
It's like that doesn't really work with our kind of thing. Hey, they really like my thing about.
Thank you, Matt Meester.
Hey, Matt.
Ignore the haters. You guys are great. Keep up the good fight, and blessed be our Heavenly Father. Yeah, you'll probably want to check out this radio show he's going to be on.
Yeah.
The Catholic priest. That'd be good.
Yeah, and if my morality starts getting in question, you can phone into the station and say, he's all right. He had a rough patch there for a couple of decades.
Vouch for us. Yeah, that's funny. No, so what do you want to get into?
Well, since we had these masks on when we started, I just wanted to say that, all sorts of businesses have been closed down in LA now. They think that 15,000 have closed during the COVID thing. That's
Wow.
just in LA County. They
15,000.
say that maybe half of those will reopen at some point, and that half of them are for certain gone. So that would be, say, 7,500 for sure gone. 7,500 family small businesses
Right. This is not
gone,
Walmart.
and probably some portion of twice that. And that doesn't count at all Orange County, which is just about as big as LA. It doesn't talk about San Diego. It doesn't talk about Ventura County, Santa Barbara, nothing in the Bay Area, which is huge.
It doesn't take into consideration the people who were planning to start a business, the people who
Yeah.
who've been setting up the investors or doing their own thing, and now they don't have that chance. I mean, and what is it, like 400,000 jobs
400,
gone?
it's 400,000 jobs. And, I
That's
mean,
crazy.
it's totally impacting us personally. I usually go out 3 times a week, guys, to play music. I usually go out Monday night, and that's either a blues jam at Park Bar and Grill in Burbank or the open mic night at Cool X Woodshed. Both of those have been closed. The park is permanently gone now. It's out of business. And then Thursday nights, I go to a place called Gaucho's, which is in Glendale. And it's a big family restaurant. They're from, I think they're Argentine. It's a big Argentine food, and the giant big wooden tables where families gather in there. It's a very big, raucous place. Gone. And that's
Yeah.
a family business. And they had everything invested in that, and they couldn't hold on. They can't hold on for a year. So now that business is just gone. It's one of the major restaurants in Glendale just out of business. And there's
Yeah.
got to be dozens of them in Glendale
Well,
that have gone under.
our
So that's my Thursday night. That's no longer there. And then my Sunday night, that would be the third time in a week that I usually go out. That's the Hideaway, and they've been closed for a year too, and nobody knows yet if they're going to be able to come back.
I think you're a great example also of, now, not me so much because I work so much with our channel and then work full time, and I got a kid and a wife, and I'm out of the house a lot. Like, I'm not feeling the emotional swing or the isolation and so on, but you're feeling that,
Oh, totally.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I've messaged you before and you go like, "You know what? I'm just not feeling it today." And it's like, yeah, I get it. You haven't had anyone to talk to in a while. You haven't seen anybody. You haven't played music. I mean, playing music with somebody, if you guys have never done it, it is
It's your lifeblood.
it I explain it this way. When I learned to play guitar, I explained it to my dad, and I said, "What you don't understand, Dad, about playing music is you can have the worst day possible, and about 15 minutes of playing a song and getting into it, you have to remember that you were angry or it goes away. You have
It
to
it
try to stay in that anger because it goes
Right.
away. It does something to you. And if you don't have that and you were doing it 3 nights a week."
Right. And I don't drink anymore, and I don't have a dog, or I don't live with anybody. So there's all this
Dog.
there's all this really deep isolation.
Yeah.
And there's just no, people go, "Well, get out of the house." Well, I do get out of the house. I go walk
I go
around.
I go
around.
walk by myself with a
Yeah.
mask on. No.
The only opportunity you
Uh,
have is to go out and buy something. You can't go out and just have an experience like you go to a corner bar where you have a couple of drinks and you get to know the neighbors. All of that's been closed down. So
right.
it's really rough. So, but they took they said that restaurants could open this past Monday, and
25
just nobody went out.
25% inside. You're allowed
20
25%
yeah,
inside. Now the patios have been back open,
right.
but the wife and I, as soon as they opened up, we went to a place. I don't want to say the name because it was a terrible experience. A place that we've been to several times and it was really good. We go there, they just opened back up. The food was terrible. The service was okay, but everybody was complaining about their food, how terrible it was. And how could you expect it to be good? They've been shut down. They were shut down for months.
So all
Then
the
they were
team's
well, they
gone.
were told like on a Friday that you can open up this weekend or on a Wednesday or whatever it
And they've
was.
got to
Then they open up. They're trying to get everything together. They can't get their cook back. Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe some of their food was old. Who knows, right?
totally.
It was so bad. Like I said, I don't want to say the name because they're normally a good place. But if you want to talk about businesses closing down, my favorite lunch place in Santa Clarita, gone.
Yeah, there's a little Chinese restaurant right down the street from my house, and I went in there. And I'll tell you what kind of guy this is. I was in there one night, and they don't take debit cards in there, and I had this I ordered up this big plate of food, right? And I was gonna go home, but then I go, dude, I forgot that you don't take cash. And it was almost closing time. He said, catch me next time. Right. And I didn't know him that well then, but I started going back. So I was driving by a couple of weeks later and I go, oh, I forgot to go in and pay that guy. So I turned in and go in there and I paid him. And he looked at me like, really? You remembered?
You came back?
You know?
They don't normally come back.
He gives me a handful of like fortune cookies in there. And every time I've been there since, he loads me up with so much he's got to squash down the top on those little styrofoam things like you see in the Chinese. He's a really sweet man, immigrant from China. And, the kind of people that we say, hey, come to America, and then we just screw this guy. And he hung on and he hung on. And finally, he went out of business. I went by there the other day and all the stuff's just, all the heating table is all gone and everything like that. And it just says,
That's
sorry,
so sad.
we couldn't hang on. So it's all kinds of them.
Thanks, Jennifer. Love you guys. I really appreciate your perspective on the world today. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Jennifer. Oh, look, we got somebody coming up.
Tom, the business is gone, but the business model is not. There's still a need for open mic. Do you think we are witnessing a huge ownership change? That's a good question. I definitely think there's going to be new people move in, and could there be people who are connected to, let's say, Gavin Newsom or whatever, that make these like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna buy a chain of these places and then put them out there now because I'm the big rich guy who didn't suffer.
Oh, yeah, that could be
a good question, Tom.
It's just the idea that somebody but I think independent restaurateurs are the ones, of course, that are getting screwed. It's the little guy all down the line. And in fact, in the article that I got that figure of 400,000, we got that from. It said overwhelmingly there are people who make less money than more money. It was the people who have a lot of money that didn't get hurt. And
big shock.
Certainly, this is the truth about. There's going to be the people that like Tom mentions here, the people who are going to be able to come in and buy up all these restaurants and maybe turn them into chains, like you're saying. They're going to be the ones who have tons of money.
That's right.
So because the other people are not going to risk it anymore. They're not going to want to. They're thinking,
like,
how often? When's the next thing that'll happen? Right. I don't want to put my whole. I have something I want to read from one of our listeners that she wrote to me on Facebook.
Thanks, DMC22. Keep up the great work, guys.
Oh, thanks, guys. So this is maybe you guys, Erica Ayers Watkins, are you out there? I had posted a thing about that Gaucho thing closing and that other music event that I always went to. And this is what she said. What Erica does is she contracts with businesses to clean them, to go in there and clean them up. And one of the things is a restaurant is one of her accounts. So she says, while we have lost a lot of restaurants and businesses around here due to the shutdowns, the problem we seem to be having right now is the struggle to keep doors open due to another issue, finding the employees to actually work these jobs, as you were mentioning. In speaking with my boss for a few moments this morning, I was choking back tears at the sadness and pain in her face. This is a woman in her 70s who should be retired and traveling around the country enjoying her golden years that she put into this business and reaping the rewards. Instead, she is near tears, wondering if we are going to make it another week because what COVID didn't take away from her, not having staff to keep the doors open and the businesses running, is. This is my job and income, but it isn't me I care about. I'll be fine. This is her life and all of her retirement money she saved that she had to put back into the business to keep doors open. And this is what's been happening. These are tough people. They thought it was going to be a month, maybe 2 months. So they put all their money into it that should have been their nest egg.
Right.
And they kept the restaurant alive as long as they want. So she goes, even through all of that, she feels terrible because she knows that if she goes under, it is those who work for her that are out of the jobs we need. There are many restaurants around us that are dealing with this right now. Everyone wants the bars and restaurants open. The customers are there and are willing to come out, but the employees are missing in action. How do you fix that?
Yeah.
Good question. I believe that Erica.
She's here. I'm here, Dave.
Erica, you're from Michigan, right? Okay, she's
on a bit of a lag, so we won't see that answer in a few seconds.
We're at time lag. So I believe she's from Michigan.
No, that's it's there's so many levels to it, right? Right. And that's the thing that nobody planned for. I mean, if you couldn't have done it any better if you were the rich and powerful to shut this down like this. It's helping them and hurting everyone that's on the lower end.
If the intention was to screw everybody, and speaking of that, I stopped for gas today. Since the inauguration, on inauguration day, I went and gassed up because I thought I'm just going to keep a record of this. So I went and gassed up, and it was exactly $3 a gallon. And I filled up the tank of the van.
Remember, we're out here in California. $3 was a pretty good price.
This is in California. That's for that same at that same gas station today on the way up here. I stopped and it was $3.60 a gallon. So it's gone up 60
cents.
Yeah, so that's a 20 gallon tank in that truck. And most guys that are out there driving around doing everybody's lawns and doing all the grunt work, the working poor, basically, they'll get stabbed right in the eye with this. And the people who can afford the Priuses and the the cars with the great mileage and the electric cars,
right?
They won't feel any of this. And of course, Gavin Newsom's big push is more electric cars. Going to try to make it easier for the electric car people.
Right. Let's give another $7,000 to someone who can afford to buy a brand new electric car.
Exactly. They need it.
While that guy mowing your lawn has
that poor guy in the 15-year-old truck
that they tell us they care about,
and the lawn mowers and all the things that he's got to fill up, he gets screwed again. So
here, another comment. Jimmy Rowe, Biden does not look good walking upstairs. OMG, keep it up, guys. I enjoy your content. Cheers.
Jimmy, I've got to disagree with you. I think the man's almost godlike, the ability to fall upwards
3 times.
It's like
not just once. Like everybody stumbles at one time, right?
It's almost, Jimmy. It's almost the it's almost like the idea of failing upwards.
Yeah,
it's falling upwards. It's like his whole career. It's like
walking up the stairs it represents his entire career. Yeah. That's hilarious.
Every time he stumbles, he ends up on a higher rung on the ladder. How does he do it?
Yeah, that's good. Oh, here, the old Sarge. The Biden gaggle and their missteps hurt my American soul. You guys give me hope. Thanks. Thank you, Sarge. We appreciate it. No, what's funny is, look, I have stairs in my house. I've misstepped on a stair and you kind of trip up. I've done that before.
But usually you don't do it like 2 more times. You don't do it
2 more times. And then when people ask what happened, you say,
the wind.
It was really windy that day. Come on, man. The wind, what is he, 3 sheets to the wind at that point? Come on, man. That's lame.
I don't know. I hate to laugh at a person because, I'm a lot closer to feeble than you are.
No, but, we've all done it, but he's you can't blame the wind on that one. You just tripped. Just say you just tripped. I'm not the youngest guy. Own it and just move on, and everybody will have their laugh.
No, if that had been Reagan would have thought, oh, I've got a line, and he'd go, hey, even when I fall down, I end up at a higher place.
Right.
Reagan would have turned it to his advantage,
right?
And everyone would have laughed and gone, Reagan, he's all right. You know what I mean? Biden doesn't have any of
the
that.
The White House official word. It was windy that day.
It was windy.
That's too funny, man.
Well, maybe they shouldn't allow him out in the wind anymore. Maybe they won't. maybe there would be like a special Biden weather channel where you could turn on that. I wonder if you'll make it to the speech today. Oh, there's a drizzle.
Yeah,
there's a drizzle.
There's a slight breeze out of the southwest. It doesn't look like we're going to see Biden today. Oh no!
Breeze out of the southwest.
Yeah, that's funny.
So the Newsoms, I almost called them.
Close.
They got the signatures. So
yeah,
he's
going to be recalled.
1.5 million is what they got 2.1 million signatures. So and since last Wednesday, this Wednesday past, that's when they've started what they call validating the signatures. So they have to validate those signatures and make sure they're real and the people are actually in the state and at the address. They didn't bother doing that with ballots though very much, did they?
No, I know, right?
Suddenly
they really care about these signatures and if they're real. But
when it comes to getting rid of one of their guys, they really want to make sure those signatures are all right.
Right. But when they win in an election, the signatures, who else would have signed it?
Yeah, it's close enough.
Rat's Ass 67's back. Thank you. Afternoon. Glad to catch up with you, fellas. Sending a big howdy from Camp Verde, Arizona. Rat Stauffer, Rochelle. Oh yeah, she spells it how we supposed to say it because we messed it up last
Can
time.
we call you Rat for
Same
short?
Rose,
Or
different name.
it's Rochelle.
Yeah. Now
Okay.
self-employed private home
No,
care.
Rochelle.
Scary times. No, it is scary times. Um, being self-employed, this is a bad time to be self-employed. This is a good time to work for a billionaire. It's a good time to have a nice high-paying job from a billionaire corporation, and a terrible time to be working for yourself and
Well,
be working.
technically, I think I work for Google now.
I guess we kind of, we have a part-time job here at Google
Yeah.
or YouTube, whichever way you want to look at it. Not that I really think of him as my boss.
So yeah, that. Do you have that clip from Newsom getting hammered by?
I do.
You guys want to watch a little?
Here's a couple things. Erica Watkins, thank you. The wind was 6 miles an hour that day. You could barely feel wind at that speed. LOL. That's funny. And then
6 miles an hour.
Thank you, Signor Nacino. I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry. Just won $20 on a Willy Wonka scratch off. Giving it to you. Keep up the stream. Keep the streams coming.
Oh,
and
great,
here's
man.
Brent Smith. Good job on the recall. Over 2 million.
Signor, next time could you play like Powerball?
I know, right?
Just establishing.
Just in case. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Good job on the recall. Over 2 million. I hope you get a better government. No, thank you. I guess you're not from California. I did a video on that. I got a few you guys to sign up who are in California, and we both signed it. And it's good. Yeah, I got that clip.
Well, I think you go ahead and load that clip up. I think what we're seeing here with the downfall of Cuomo, who was initially put forth as the hero, and it seems to me that Gavin was trying to kind of follow along in the footsteps of what New York was doing.
That's right.
And now horrible backlash is coming at him. There might be a real turnover coming out of this, where people are just going to say, "We just can't trust these people with our lives."
Corey J. Lewis, I'm a black conservative. Love y'all show. Do y'all think we should be worried about liberals fleeing to Texas and bringing their bad politics? We've talked about that actually.
Well,
a couple times.
I want to talk to you, Corey. If you're out there, or anybody who's out in there, I want to introduce something called the neighborly fruit basket, the welcome wagon politics. When you see a California plate on your street, be the first one to invite those people to your house. Show them that, demonstrate that we're not crazies, and that they move to Texas. They'd be well advised to do as the Texans do.
Yeah.
But I think that you always have to look at also people that are coming out of the universities and things like that. And also, as any state becomes more urban, it tends to go blue.
That's true.
That's
the citification, if you will, cityfication of the rural areas.
So naturally, Houston is beginning to get into the purple area and things like that. But yeah, anytime you see somebody show up on your street, just be the first one over there, knock on the door and say, "Hey, welcome to Texas. Come on down," and give them a little casserole or something like that.
Do you want to see my
chili
gun
pie?
Do you want to see my gun collection?
Yeah, say, "Come on down. We'll talk guns."
Here's a country song.
We'll go out in the backyard and shoot guns.
No, okay. So let's check out this. I got about a minute here.
Sorry about
clip.
that.
No, we're answering questions here. This is Governor Newsom with Jake Tapper, and Jake Tapper was grilling him. So this is the first little 1 minute clip here, guys. Check it out.
This is the sixth recall
in the middle
effort in just 25 months.
I covered one of your recalls before in California, and at the end of it, there was a brand new Republican governor. Are you worried?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have the lowest threshold of the 19 states that allow a recall in the country, and all you need is about a quarter of the people that voted for Donald Trump getting this recall petition to the voters this November. So I'm anticipating it goes on. We're taking it very seriously. This is the sixth recall effort in just 25 months since I've been governor. This one appears because they got an extension from a judge to have the requisite signatures, and absolutely, we're taking it seriously.
You've been characterizing the recall supporters in a certain way. Recall backers say that more than 2 million people have signed the petition. You can't think that all 2 million are, as you characterize them, anti-vaxxers, QAnon conspiracy theorists, and anti-immigrant Trump supporters, can you?
Yeah, that's such a great point. Jake actually does a little bit of journalistic integrity right there.
Yeah, he's talking to us. This is This is the shtick out here in California.
Yeah, I mean, think
Bunch of anti-vaxxers. Where does that come up?
think about that. Like the most liberal state in the union, and he's going to say, "Oh, it's because of all these QAnon people because they're just all over California everywhere." And then the other side of it too is he says, "This is the sixth." You know how he talks. This is the sixth.
Sixth, as if to
Right.
say,
But the other 5 didn't work, right? And maybe let's just give Newsom his let's give him this one. Let's say those other 5 or all 6 were started by a QAnon person. Let's just imagine that.
yeah,
The reason that 6 worked is
it's
because
it wasn't started by a QAnon person.
or it might, even if it was started by a QAnon person, it actually was people upset that what he's doing to the state.
Yeah,
That's why.
Because actually it goes back, and the issues then were the complete homelessness issue, potholes all over the streets, nothing's working, prices are high, jacking the gas tax up the year
Right.
before, and laying all of that on the backs of the working poor. I mean, he's just been it's the San Francisco mafia.
Right.
That's all this is. These people have no sense of regular Americans and how we live.
And schools aren't open. A lot of people are upset about that, right? His kid's been going to private school since the fall.
Yeah.
Like in class learning. His kid goes to a private school.
They went back on time, like in September or something like that.
Yeah, in September. Our
Right.
kids still stuck at home. Obviously, my kid's not old enough to be in school. But yeah, that's why this has been successful. And he might not win because I think there's a lot of people who go like, holy crap. I thought Democrats cared about me, and they're realizing that they don't. Oh,
That's Rochelle again.
Rat came back. Yeah. She said Rat was fine. Southern California, born and raised, moved away from all of California, represents.
Favor slower
pace.
pace,
Yeah.
blue sky, and hellos from strangers.
I prefer Rat.
I prefer
Nice.
Okay.
That's easy and sweet. Everybody likes a nice rat.
Yeah. I remember when I took her home to meet my mom the first time, and I said, Mom, rat, mom. It was a hallmark moment, I think, that we like to call those.
No, what Gavin Newsom, just like a lot of these big liberal governors have done to their state is really a shame. And people, I'm hoping that's opening up enough people's minds to see like, dude, we can't do this. Rand Paul the other day, he was talking with Fauci, and he's going, show me the science. Show me the studies that say once you're vaccinated, you need to wear a mask. Show me the studies that say you're double masking. And he even called him out. He said, you're wearing 2 masks. It's theater, man. It's theater. 2 masks. You've got your vaccine. And then he's like, what about the people who've had it like me? Like, you're going to say that this guy needs to keep wearing a mask? Right. It's so ridiculous. Part of it's theater, and part of it, I wonder, is
that.
like.
By the way, that was the best Rand Paul impression that I've ever seen.
I got to work on my hair a little
You're
bit.
like Rich Little or something.
I got to get that hair going. That Rand Paul hair.
Just a minute, let me tackle you.
I know. Right? Can you break a rib? I love Rand Paul. He's from Kentucky. I'm from Kentucky, and that's not why I like him, but he's one of the few.
And he's an actual scientist.
Yeah, he's a doctor, and he's actually one of the few people in Congress who stay really solid with their views, versus Lindsey Graham's now out going like, oh yeah, we should do DACA too, and it's like, wait a second, I thought we were against DACA before. Now you guys are jumping on that bandwagon. Rand Paul, he's been very consistent on all of his stuff, especially against spending and deficit spending, and I'm a big fan of stopping that, but that looks like it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, so we got all kinds of stuff coming up. What happened with up in Alaska when what's that guy's name? The Secretary of State? What's his name?
Blinkerton.
You'd think I would know this.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Anyway, Secretary of State.
We'll just go with that.
He's new.
We went up there he's a new guy. But they were meeting with China up there. And, we want to bust China's balls for the way they're treating the Uyghurs and just generally poor human rights. and they throw it back in our face now because they're going, hey, you're the ones that keep saying that your nation is just destroyed by racism. Who are you talking about? If your own people can't accept those blacks over there, you know, who are you to be lecturing us about what we're doing with the Uyghurs? It's like, duh, you can't keep portraying this country as just a seething cauldron of racism and then tell other countries, hey, man, you have to treat everybody equally over there.
Right. No, this is, I think you sent me this picture, 3 million Uyghurs detained in concentration camps by Beijing, right? And we're going like, hey, you can't do that.
Yeah, so we're
And they say, but what about Black Lives Matter? Don't they matter in your country? It's like,
so we just lost the moral high ground basically to people who run concentration camps and use these people for slave labor and like harvesting organs and things like that.
Right. Now they're going to hold us to account, right?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
You know, we want to project. They never shut up about Donald Trump not projecting the right image to the world. Well, what kind of image are you projecting when you keep saying that black people are being hunted in the streets by police?
That's right. And the sad part is,
it's all in blue cities.
It's all politics.
That's
what's
politics.
so frustrating about it. They do it so they can win the next election or the next election or get people to get angry and get in the streets and so on. They do it for political gain, and there's so many downsides to it. This obviously what you're talking about with China, but then you got the fact that you got people growing up believing that it doesn't matter what they do with their life, they're going to still be hunted down in the street. They're not going to be able to make it somehow. And we're teaching people to feel that weight, like, oh, it doesn't matter what I do. Well, if it doesn't matter what you do, then you're not going to worry about what you do. So yeah, pick up a gun. That's fine. Go shoot somebody. That's fine. Do drugs. That's fine. Stay at home. Don't worry about it. Get an education. That's all fine, because what's it matter? And that's what we're teaching, a huge generation of people.
Yeah. What did I heard this, I'll get back to it later. But what were you saying? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, the Uyghurs is such a good thing. China calls us out on Black Lives Matter issues to take the moral high ground away from us, and they got 3 million people in concentration camps.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
But we're portraying it as if, what about all those people in cages in concentration camps at the border? You kept saying that.
That's right.
You told us that's what you were doing there. It just, they have the turnaround time on unintended consequences has become really brief. It used to be that they could fake it down the road a little ways with this stuff. But now the turnaround time on the unintended consequences has just been reduced like crazy. Do you have that little...
Yeah. Okay. Signor is Italian and pronounced the same as Spanish senor. All right.
All right. We got you, senor.
Okay. So I think what you're talking about is this pic here.
Yeah.
Look at that. Portland mayor pledges to divert millions from police bureau.
And what was the date on that?
That's June 9th, 2020. And then March 11th, 2021, Mayor Ted Wheeler seeks $2 million to bring back uniformed police team to address spike in shootings.
Yes. So within a couple of months, they had figured out a way to defund the police. They went ahead and did defund the police. And immediately, who could have guessed it? Violent crime went way back up.
Who did guess it? We all did.
And the guys that they had laid off were the people who were tasked with the violent crime stuff, because they felt like that was kind of racist-y, because those guys ended up in bad neighborhoods a lot. And maybe sometimes there were some black and brown people who lived there.
Big shock.
Yeah. So what happened is they moved those guys all out and laid them off or put them in, desk jobs or whatever.
Right.
And now they need some more funding that they can get some guys back on there to fight violent crime.
Pledges to divert millions,
pledges to divert
10 months later. We need $2 million, people.
Well, you know what happened in the interim, don't you? This guy ran up against he was running all these states out here. They're all one-party cities.
Yeah.
All these cities out here. And so he was running against a woman whose name I forget, but she was the sort of Antifa candidate. And he barely edged her out. He did win, though. So it was like super liberal against ultra super Marxist liberal. That's basically what they had there. So they went with super liberal and, obviously an inept mayor. But I think he had to do that to feel like he had any chance of winning.
Yeah.
So now he's trying to go back to just being super liberal instead of pretending he's an Antifa liberal.
Yeah. No, it was easy to see, right? I did the one video, I believe, I don't know how long ago it was, but Minnesota did the same thing. Minneapolis, they went back to like, hey, we need more money. We need to get more police officers on the job. And it's like, yeah, we all talked about this, right? And sure, nobody is against teaching cops to do their jobs better, to give them more resources. No one's ever been against that.
Right.
And no one argues like, no, cops are perfect. Everybody else is bad. That's it. You continue to do what you do, cops. You're going to get the bad guys, and let's leave it alone. No, we all go, you know what? If there's better training, if there's a better way to take down somebody. I saw a video of one of those. It's almost like a Batman thing, or it's a gun where you shoot it and it's a rope and it goes and it wraps around the guy's legs and totally stops them. Like, yeah, where we can use that to safely take people into custody without hurting, let's do it.
Let's open up the free market to say, yeah, we're looking for ideas.
No one's against that.
Yeah, Elon Musk will figure it out.
Right.
He'll have like the cone of silence or something that comes down out of outer space. Tony Blinken. Tony, see, my brain is on like a 10-minute turnaround there. Tony Blinken is the Secretary of State.
I'm surprised you didn't wake up in the middle of the night tonight. He's like, Tony Blinken.
Tony Blinken.
Oh, he gets up and he writes a comment on the video. It was Tony Blinken. I was trying to remember. We got a comment from Elsa Blue Eyes. Left California for Las Vegas 7 years ago. We are becoming Northeast LA here. We are becoming Northeast LA here. Yeah. But we have guns. My spouse went out and bought 2 AR-15 like weapons 3 months ago. Yeah, protect yourself. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, let us know how the next domestic dispute goes between you guys.
I had a buddy. That's funny you say that, because I had a buddy. He's real anti-gun, and he's like, oh, I don't want a gun around. What about an argument you're having with your friend or an argument with your wife? And I was like, you got a knife right there in the kitchen. I see it. When's the last time you and your wife were arguing and you reached for that knife and thought, listen, woman? And he's like, I never. And I was like, just like you would never grab a gun in an argument with your wife about whatever you're arguing about. That's not, you're not going to do that.
Particularly if it's in a gun safe, because I don't think he has a knife safe on his.
No, it's sitting right there. It's full view. You could just grab it and go. It was ready to go. Like, it's not going to happen. But a lot of people, they think that. They think that are anti-gun, they think, oh, but what if I'm arguing about the football game with my buddy and we get mad at each other? It's like, yeah. Have you ever tried to stab him? Did you ever try to pick up a baseball bat and hit him with it when you're playing softball? No, that happens occasionally. Sure, but
I mean, have you ever just like suddenly gone into like big roundhouse punches on your friend because you disagreed about something?
You're arguing about that.
I don't think I've ever just hauled off and popped anybody.
Right. I think Alex Rodriguez is the best third baseman ever. What? How dare you? Wham! It's like
suddenly there's just a big beating going on in the living room.
Right, but that's how they think about it. Just that kind of took us off what we were at, but I think this is kind of interesting.
What is this?
This is the New York Times article you sent me. It says, titled, "That was fast. Blow-ups with China and Russia in Biden's first 60 days."
Right. So the thing with Russia was that, Biden came out and called Putin a murderer. And so I remember when Trump was saying, well, Putin's a strong leader and things like that. He's trying to establish some diplomatic relations with the guy. And all of these people, the left is all in the background, and they're all going, well, but Biden's a murderer. Why isn't he calling him out and calling him a murderer to his face in a diplomatic meeting? That would be kind of really stupid. So apparently that Biden actually went out and did that, and now Russia's mad at us.
Yeah. And that article basically says, we're entering kind of a new Cold War.
Yeah.
And that's true. But the world was supposed to accept Biden better. What happened? What happened, right? He was supposed to be the, good, America has that's what they told us was the case, right? But now the two biggest enemies we have, and I say enemies because I believe they are enemies in a lot of ways. China and Russia are now, our relationships are worse. We were told that Trump was trying to be like Putin and trying to be like all these guys, but realistically, he was dealing with them in a way that we did harsh sanctions on Russia, but you never heard Russia come out or Vladimir Putin come and say, we need a debate.
Yeah.
We need a debate right now, live. That's what he came out and said about Biden. Let's do a debate. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, that's
what
Putin's saying about
Biden. Yeah, with no delay, no translators or whatever. Let's just talk. Yeah, come on. That'd just be terrible for the country and for Biden. But he never felt that emboldened to say that to Trump. Why not?
Well, you didn't need to, because Trump was speaking to people in the language of prosperity.
That's right.
And as I wrote about this before, Trump was not an ideological figure. Trump was a cultural figure who symbolized prosperity. And everywhere the guy went, prosperity seemed to pop up around him during the whole time that he was in here. So he was talking to North Korea in terms of that. He was saying, look, you guys are isolated over here. We can work this stuff out. Think of all the money could be made.
Right.
Think of how great it would be to be the president that got North Korea, back in the real world. I mean, that's something you don't even have to say. Trump just shows up.
Right.
And it's like, oh, the symbol of success just called me on the phone and is coming to visit.
Right.
The symbol of the worldwide icon of success is taking time to drop by and have a talk with me. It must be about prosperity. It is about prosperity.
Right.
It's always about prosperity. And I think every world leader can hear that, because if you go over there and you're going, well, we want you to accept all these American ideals. I'm an American liberal president, and I'd like to talk to you about how you're treating transgenders in your country, and and maybe we'll get around to talking about doing some deals later.
Yeah.
But Trump's not going to go in there and ask them to change the way they think. He was just going to go, okay, let's adapt the way you think so that all your people have good stuff.
Right. Well, let's do what's good for America.
And you do what's good for your country.
And do what's going to do good for you, because it's going to help America.
Right. And if you don't abuse us as trading partners, we will be the best trading partners you ever could ask for. Just don't abuse us.
That's right.
That's basically
right. And now Biden's like, oh, you know what? Putin's a killer. Well, let's get him.
But Trump spoke the language of male power.
That's right.
What do we got there?
We got JC Bridge again. Thank you from Holland. We had here the worst election so far in Holland. Leftist policies of USA is taken over here. Today we had massive COVID protests, but leftist mayor of Amsterdam told police to harm the innocent protesters badly. Well,
I hate
crazy.
to tell you, but we didn't exactly develop leftism over here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Look next door over there to Germany. That's
Russia,
where Marxism came from.
Right. Look at what Stalin and so on did. But no, we hear you. Everyone's suffering from leftist policies around the world right now.
Yeah, and
in a lot of ways.
And apparently they're pretty well masked up over there too. I follow this one woman called Itchy Boots who rides motorcycles around the world. And
Itchy Boots.
Yeah. And
she's itching to go,
she's down in South Africa, and she shows up at this isolated outpost at a national park down there to go in and take pictures at the national park. Way down in South Africa, there's one guy working the booth. He's got a mask on. It's like it's foggy. No one else has been there that day, and he's got a mask on. In Africa, the number of people who've died of COVID is smaller than the number of, and I'm talking about the continent of Africa.
Yeah.
Is smaller than the number of people who died in Great Britain. So it's 35,000. It's less than 35,000 people.
Yeah.
But all around the world, people are masked up like there's no tomorrow. And I think it's just because people follow us in Western Europe. What we do, all people around the world do. They think, well, those people have all the scientists and all the stuff.
Right.
We better get on board with this. Plus, we want their tourist dollars. We don't want them to not come here. So we're going to mask up just like crazy in case one of those people develops enough balls to start being a tourist again.
Yeah.
You see, we have ruined the tourist industry all over the world with this stupid panic.
Before this goes up, Charles Davis, thank you. He wrote, did you know the EPA is going after aftermarket auto parts for emissions? Would make it illegal to modify your car for competition. Look up RPM Act. Well, I don't doubt that. I mean, that's an obvious direction they're going to go.
Charles is trying to destroy our air. Charles.
That's right, Charles.
So you can
race your car.
I blame you for the death of the polar bear.
Oh no, these people. No, they're going to go after everything, and that's how they're going to do it. They're going to be able to get you out of your old car by saying, no, you can't fix it anymore. You can't get the part to fix it. So you either have to make the part, or you're going to have to get a new car.
Newsom's saying now he's trying to put it into effect that after 2035 there will be nothing but electric cars in California.
Craziest thing ever. There's no possible way.
Yeah.
No. Oh, here's another one from Nathan Johnson. Appreciate it. I'm curious about your attitudes towards spending the stimulus check. Me personally spending my stimulus check, I'm not gonna get much of a stimulus check. Because
some people think that supporting your local conservative YouTube channel is. I'm not saying this. I'm just saying that some people think that that's the best way to spend a stimulus check.
That and your lottery winnings, as we found out earlier.
Yeah, that too.
No, the stimulus check. I don't know how I'm going to spend my stimulus check. Just on the regular things we normally do, but I heard a lot of people are buying guns with their.
Nobody has sent me a stimulus check.
Well, it comes in with a card. Yeah.
Comes with a card?
Yeah, like a debit card.
Oh.
Yeah, you haven't got one yet?
I haven't gotten
anything yet either. But as far as the stimulus package goes, that most of it was nothing to do with stimulating the economy. Most of it had nothing to do with COVID. It was mostly paying off, big liberal enclaves and governors and spending for the future and the way they want to take education and so on. It had nothing to do. Really
I'm guessing that most of that stuff probably ended up a chunk of it ended up in Jeff Bezos's pockets. A pretty good chunk of it.
Yeah,
I look around my house I probably bought 20 things that I have no use for, because there was nothing to do. There was nowhere to go. There was no, I feel like I'm engaged in a cultural war here online. And it occurred to me the other day, I haven't been engaged in the actual culture for a year. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. You got to get out there and rub up against people in order to feel like a citizen. You have to have these, we pick up a lot of information from one another just by looking each other in the eye, shaking a hand, having a little talk with people. It balances us as we're going along. We could get, gone on these rabbit holes on, where I'm like obsessing about some Dutch chick named Itchy Boots and having all kinds of weird thoughts in my head.
I'm going to buy me a motorcycle. Yeah. I'll meet you in South America.
I'll be down there. You lose perspective when you're all alone. And in America, loneliness has always been a problem. I think since we started, having fewer community things like the Lions Club and Kiwanis Club, those service organizations started going away. People stopped going out to the high school football game and all the different places that meet people. There was a famous book called Bowling Alone that talked about that how the diminution since television and all the stay-at-home activities we do, and fewer people go to church and fewer people are in service organizations, fewer people are in the PTA and all these different things that used to force us out. And it used to be, and I said this for the longest time, I'm not doing online banking because I want to be forced into the line at the bank. It's an annoyance, but I'm with other people there.
Yeah.
But now it's gotten to the place where there aren't any tellers in my bank anymore. There are only stations to do online banking in person.
Right.
It's
but
why?
But if you pretend like you don't know what you're doing, someone will come over there and help you.
They will.
Right. So that's what you do every time. You're like, Dave, are you going to get this ever? You're like, no, I don't.
I'm not a conspiracy guy, as you well know, but it seems like we're going in the direction where we're trying to eliminate all human interaction and make everybody forever be in front of one of these, Oh, by the way, Sweetwater product placement.
Yeah.
I am not
talking about buying things I didn't.
That was
talking about buying things I didn't need.
That was my laptop computer.
I've bought a few things off of Sweetwater that I did not need.
God.
But
I don't know if any of you
several
guys
things I did.
What'd you get?
Well, I got some equipment for recording music, microphones, you name it, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And they're good. They always check on you. I like Sweetwater.
Yeah, in my van and I got a phone call. And if I pick up a phone call from somebody I don't know who it is, I'm desperately lonely, because normally I don't answer even from people who,
That's funny.
I'll text you later.
Oh, I'll go back to what you were saying.
But it was a guy from Sweetwater. He was calling me up to say, hey, I see
anything?
You bought some stuff, here. Is all your stuff okay? And I said, by the way, there is one thing that I bought a Podcaster Pro from Rode. And all that I've been using it for is to prop up this computer when I do Zoom calls. It's the world's most expensive computer lifter. Cost me $600, and I've used it for virtually nothing.
No, when you're talking about lonely and people being lonely today, in general, just the human condition, you can be around a bunch of people and feel lonely. You know what I mean? Because it's just your emotions, to regulate those emotions. But boy, have they made it much harder. They've made it so hard for regular people. Like, think about how many people are home stuck with their kids and their wife. They're working from home, their kids are there, and they don't get a break, right? That's tough. I mean, you can love someone as much as you can, but 24/7 side by side, you eventually start going like, would you go to the next room, please? Come on. Right. Why are you eating so loud? I can't take that. You start to get on these little things, and then it's like, oh, could you just leave me alone?
I think that was a little insight into some of the things that Jason might be dealing with in his own home life.
It's tough.
Do you find it's when she chews Doritos that you?
It's more when she's savoring something.
Oh.
That's when it's.
Tell them about what your little girl did with the cookie today.
Oh, okay. So yeah, my daughter, she's 2. She had a chocolate chip cookie, and normally she eats a lot of things, and she eats normal, whatever. She's dipping her cookie into the milk, and then she's going to eat it, and she goes, and we just started laughing. We'd never seen her close her eyes ever when she was eating, but she was loving this cookie so much. Each time she go to bite it, it'd be again close her eyes.
I think of Homer Simpson. Cookie, drool pouring out.
She was in love with that cookie today. It was a big old chocolate chip cookie from Chick-fil-A.
I don't know, man. Kids, they're so unique. Each one is their own thing, and when we had our kids, and Jason and his wife were smart enough to do the same thing that my wife and I did, is you have the daughter first. And then a couple years later, once she can walk around and carry things, then you bring a son into the situation, right? Because you do it the other way, and all you're going to have is the boy dragging the daughter around.
beating the girl nonstop, right?
What's in that sack? And where's your little sister?
That's right.
But our daughter was so good with the little boy, when he came along. She drug him around, but in the proper way, supporting his head.
No, we're definitely excited that she's going to help out with some of the stuff. She's very already independent at 2 years old. She started walking really early.
She's a smart one.
And she's doing really good. And JC wrote back, the woke culture is taking over here in Holland and Europe. It's a disaster. I'm Muslim, but they calling me Nazi, because I'm not buying their narrative. Boy, isn't that the truth?
Oh boy, I know. It's just.
Sorry, David Moffat. I love Sweetwater. Get everything from them. The best is the candy package with every order you get some sweet.
I know,
sweet
right?
Tarts or whatever.
I know, right?
It is.
And I've been thanks JC for adding that in. I mean, I bought something from them. Oh, you know what it was? It was picks. I bought
guitar
picks. I couldn't find the ones that I wanted at my local guitar center, so I sent to Sweetwater for some picks. And so they sent the picks, and of course there was some candy in there. And I've been on a keto diet, sort of. It's one of the reasons I look so skinny. Some of you have commented on it and wonder if I'm being eaten up by metastasized cancer. And to that I say, not that I know of.
Right.
But
anything's entirely possible.
If it turns out that that's true, then my diet doesn't work as well as I thought it did.
Forget all those things I said about that diet.
Oh, by the way, guys, the diet didn't work. Turns out all you have to do is have a body riddled with cancer.
Right. See you on the other side.
And the pounds will just melt away.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
But I have been on a diet since the end of July of 2020, and I lost 30 pounds. So that's why I'm looking a little hollowed out. I've lost a little more than I need to. I'm down to 145 pounds. This is the lightest I've been.
I'm down about 8 pounds.
Down 8 pounds?
No, down 8
Down
pounds.
8 pounds.
Yeah. You see, Joanna Hildreth.
It's good, man.
I was in Savannah and
I know her.
Tybee Island, Georgia last week. Tybee Island, so much fun. Bars, restaurants, music, shopping, normal life. Lots of people out. Yeah, we're jealous.
I should have come out when I threatened to, right? Right, Joanne?
I mean, at this,
I had been planning to go out there.
Oh, yeah?
Because Jamie Dimon was going to do the van build out there, but he ran into COVID restrictions and a whole bunch of hassle and decided not to do it. Plus, the weather was turning and it was starting to rain.
Yeah,
in the hill country.
We're still like 25% in the LA.
That sounds so good.
25% to go into a restaurant seating and then outside patio seating, but you still have to be 8 feet apart, and you're supposed to only be able to have dinner with someone you live in the household with. You're not allowed to eat with somebody else. Although I've done it already. We go out with friends and no one says anything. No one's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you guys don't look like you live in the same house." No one's saying anything, but yeah, it's sad. It's sad that I'm glad for you guys, man.
So every restaurant figures out how many seats they have to fill in order to pay for all to do business. And they wouldn't be in that thing if it was a quarter the size.
That's right.
But they had to pay for the rent on the full size.
Right.
Nobody could stay in business if you rent, 2,000 square feet and you use 500 square feet.
That's right. Right.
You're limited
Think about
to
a warehouse. Like if you bought a warehouse to warehouse stuff, he's like, "Oh, we only want to use a quarter of the warehouse."
Yeah, you're only allowed to.
Hey, thanks, Mark. We appreciate it. He did a super sticker, I guess those are called.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Nice. We appreciate it. No, you know what's even...
Oh, thanks, man. That's really very, very generous of you.
You got to think...
And I love the fat genie on a
on a rocket.
Rocket, whatever that is.
You got to think some of these businesses that are open right now in California for restaurants, they're not making money. They're just trying to employ some of their employees that they used to have there, right?
Right.
So they're losing money on a daily basis, but they're keeping some customers coming. Right. They're now getting some of the customers back, I should say, and they're getting to have the waitress and the cook are getting some work now. And I worked for when we had that big downturn in 2007, the company I worked for, he said he was taking jobs for us to do that he was breaking even on, just so that that the employees could have something to work with. And that's I kind of think what's going on now. Here's David Moffat again. "I share many of your shows on Rumble because you aren't on the platform yet. People love it." Hi, David. I'll talk to you about that. I did start an account on there and I put one video on there, but I haven't told anybody that I was on there yet. So then maybe some of you guys can now find me on there. But I searched our videos. I couldn't find very many viewed videos. So love it. I don't know, maybe 100, 200 views. That's loving it, I guess. But that's...
Well, these things are all, like if I post a video on YouTube and it gets 20,000 views, I seriously consider blowing my brains out. But if I put a song up on my other channel and it gets 2,000 views,
right,
I feel like I feel like I'm walking on air.
It's a
very strange thing.
It's strange, and it's also relative, right? Because
it's relative.
Our views are way down from where they used to be before the election, and I think
we didn't used to suck as much as we do
I think
now.
That's probably it. And I think we talked about this, I think last time on the thing, the live stream. There's a lot of people who are upset and tired of YouTube and moving and not paying attention. They're tired. I mean, I'm tired doing this channel. Sometimes it's hard to feel motivated to talk about it. And you're like, I just like to take a month off and play golf once and go outside and not think about some of these things. But the sad part is we have to think about this stuff if we want to make things better.
This is true, and it is hard to stay motivated. And everybody talks about this, the grind, the YouTube grind. YouTube creators talk about this amongst themselves all the time.
But it's any job too.
But it's any job.
Right.
And I'm enormously grateful for the ability to make my living writing, because I've always been a writer and never made a penny on it until you guys enabled me to do that by watching the channel.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I ever made any money on my writing. And it's pretty cool. And now I'm beginning to get noticed a little bit here and there. I'm thinking about, maybe, open up a Substack thing and start posting my stuff as essays on Substack, and just, like, write the thing, and then I have to dial it in a little bit because there's some sentences that nobody on earth could pronounce, could speak. They look good on a page, but you have to make them speakable. You have to make them performable in a sense. I've got to be able to act, kind of act natural while I'm reading them and not get stuck on all these sentences. So I have to rewrite them in order to be spoken.
Yeah.
But I could send the written version off to Substack or just different places and start trying to have a column or something like that. Because what Substack does, everything comes to you. It's a strange thing. A lot of people like who I'm thinking about, Barry Weiss, who used to write for the Times, for New York Times, and Matt Taibbi, who wrote for Rolling Stone. So many people are not working anymore for these big left-wing outlets because they're not allowed to say what they want.
Yeah.
They've got to stick to the narrative, and they're getting grind from their own people. So they're moving to places like Substack, where they put their stuff up there, and if you go to Substack and you click on them, it starts following you home to your email, and it comes home as a kind of a newsletter. It's weird because now you're reading your favorite journalists on your email. And they're doing the actual journalism that they weren't being allowed to do on some place like the Times. And apparently they're figuring out how to make a living doing it. I'm not exactly sure how they monetize.
The Gitologist said writing for a vlog is a different skill than writing for the page.
This is true.
That's so true. That's what you're saying. That's what you're talking about.
You guys know the Gitologist? You see him once in a while on this station. Brad is one of my favorite YouTubers, and he's gone through, not to speak for you, my brother, but he's gone through a lot of what a lot of people go through. If you've got your channel and people learn to expect one thing out of you, with Brad, they go there to, see him work on amps. He's a genius to, fixing amplifiers and fixing guitars and things like that. But he also cares about the culture, and he also cares about politics. He's really a good political analyst. And but he tries to do that, and people go, "Stay in your lane, Brad.
Go back to music."
Yeah,
right.
I came over here to watch you change tubes. And
well, there is something to be said for that. Let me just quickly say that last time at around 102, it ended our stream. If that happens again, we'll come right back. Okay,
Yeah.
but it happened last time. JC said the saddest part of living in Holland now is my parents have died in the Iraq War. Yeah, you told us that last time, and it's a sad story. It's I don't have any words for that. I'm sorry to hear that every time I hear that.
Yeah, man.
To get back to what you're saying about the
Heart goes
guitarist,
out to you, man.
part of me, it's a lady, I believe,
Oh, sorry.
ma'am.
Heart goes out to you, Ms. I don't want to gender
Stay
you
in your
improperly.
lane. That stay in your lane. We tell people like LeBron James, hey, stay in your lane, right? People will say that, and it does make it hard to watch LeBron play. Let's say when after the game, or tomorrow you're going to see a clip of him talking about something political that
Yeah.
you go like, oh, I don't agree with you on that. Can't you just worry about basketball as your public thing and do all the things, donate money, do all the things you want to behind the scenes? That's fine, right? So I get where people come from sometimes when you want to see some guy show you how this amp sounds, and then in the middle of it he says, and by the way, did you hear what Joe Biden just said? And half the people are gonna be like, wait a second, I didn't tune in for this. Or
Well, when I tried to rebuild an amp the other day, it didn't go well. It didn't go well on so I get that. No, but it's I wasn't commenting as if it should be somehow different.
Sure.
And Brad has another channel, but
no, he spoke highly of you, Brad,
it's
the
just
Gitologist.
it is just it's one of the things about any job. We really reward
LeBron, who?
consistency. And
Yeah.
like when you go into to apply for a job and you have your what do they call that?
Your resume.
Your resume. You have your resume with you.
He's never had one. That's why he didn't know what it's called.
Yeah. With me, it's like go around and back and talk to the foreman. It was for me. But you take your resume in and you try to convince people that you are this person that the resume seems to suggest you are. So now you are just this one channel being that they want to hire you, and they're going to pay you to never be anything other than that
Right.
for the whole time you're there. And so we really richly reward consistency in this society, and really it's a way of keeping everybody sort of in their boxes, where they can be most productive. So
Yeah.
there's more stuff going out, and there's more stuff for people to buy. And I think we're a little bit screwed up with that, and that's why I'm liking the the podcast universe, where people get on there and they talk in long form, and you can realize, oh, these people, I didn't know this is a scientist here,
Right.
but he's got really interesting ideas about all kinds of things,
Right.
like Brad does. He has interesting ideas about all kinds of stuff.
Right. And then you learn more about him as like, oh, did you know he played baseball in high school? Or did you know he was into,
Yeah.
horse racing or whatever it might be? And it humanizes people.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah. As far as like, I had somebody tell me once, we were talking about LeBron James. It's like, well, what about you? You feel like you can talk about politics? And I said, that's what this whole channel has been. That's how you know me. How are you going to say I'm not supposed to talk about it? This is how you know me from this channel. But yeah, I love talking about a lot of things. But I bet people would be surprised if I did a video and it came up and it was like, today we're going to talk about growing potatoes. And they'd be like, what? What is this? So.
Well, I'll tell you, I am so far out there lately by having absolutely zero perspective. I was actually thinking maybe I should do a video like where I set up a camera and show people how I cook.
There you go. Why not?
How I make my diet, maybe I shouldn't.
Come back next week and I'll make the same thing again.
We'll do it.
There's
We'll
not
do it every week.
There's not much variety in this diet, but
we'll get together and chop vegetables every week at this time. It'll be a live stream.
We get a lot of people who ask us, I want to make a channel on this. How do I get successful? It's like, you got to make a bunch of videos and hope someone likes them, and then keep doing them until, until someone actually does finally like them. And it takes a long time. And
yeah. And I guess you like in your job at work, you have to do the thing that sort of brought you to the dance, I suppose, and somehow keep varying it a little bit. I think you do a good thing by your production values are always changing.
Yeah.
And mine are, but not always for the better.
You guys like that video with where I pushed the guy out of the way and did that was his idea, by the way. He calls me, he's like, you should do this video. Cuomo's talking, and you got the little guy in the box. He's doing the sign language. You shove him out of the way, and you could start signing like some really funny things, and then you could like take him to task. And I was like, okay. And then I was out running some errands. I drove home and put the video together in about 3 or 4 hours, and then released it the next day. And that one didn't get as many views as the one with what's the TV show with Chuck Todd?
Oh yeah, the one with Chuck Todd. Regular guy takes over what is that? Meet the Press?
Yeah, Meet the Press. People like that one a lot better, but I sure did think it come out pretty good. The pushing the guy out of the way on that other one, that was pretty funny. And
well, we got this idea, and he showed me that one. I said, this should be a series where this guy just shows up at all kinds of interesting places. Like you could show up a football game or something like that, where all they're sitting there and suddenly there's an extra color man and it's you.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. It's like the president's here today on the football field. Is like, oh yeah, listen, Steve, about that, and then just go off on him. He goes off on Troy Aikman or whoever it could be, right? No, that was a funny thing. That was fun, but I am definitely trying to branch out and bring some humor out sometimes, because it's tough always being, talking about the issues straight, because sometimes you want to laugh a little bit. Sometimes you want to have a good time. Will one of you run for California governor? That's what Scott Holmes said. Thanks, Scott. No.
Right now I'm about to run from the California governor.
Yeah, no, I don't think either one of us have political aspirations. A lot of people will mention that on our videos. Will say, oh, Jason for president, or Dave for president, Jason for vice president. I think it's usually you president, me vice president. I don't know what's up with that, guys.
I have I think it's my long criminal background that would probably keep me from doing it.
I mean, could you imagine our videos being taken out of context, some clips, things that we said, and played in a commercial?
Yeah.
If we were running for governor, they would destroy us.
But it makes it it brings up a good point, and one of the things that I think is true about conservatives over liberals is we don't think of government as the way society progresses forward. We think that it's something that happens organically through those millions of interactions, and ideas are tried out through conversation, through neighbors talking, through parents teaching their children, and and what rises to the surface are the good ideas. That's bottom up government. And
Yeah.
their way is they think that you go into government and you take that cool thing that your professor said that night in the rap session on the roof of the dorm
Mhm.
and put it and then force the rest of the world to live by that.
Yeah.
AOC is a perfect example. She got a bunch of ideas in her head at college, and I have nothing personally against her, and I think she's a talented politician in some ways. She gets your attention, but she just has this whole idea of ways that she wants to live her life toward making you do.
That's right.
And it's the difference between, a free people who are handling it for themselves and a tyranny, really. And I hate to use the word tyranny because
But
I know that people don't mean to be tyrants, but anybody who wants to coerce you into living differently than you organically, naturally feel is just and correct for you is a tyrant.
thanks just me or maybe not. Um, no, it's a great point. The
Thanks,
way
y'all.
the way conservatives view government is it's a necessary evil that we have to have to help keep society somewhat civil, but
Yeah.
we only need as much as we need, and that's it, right? And the left look at it as, listen, I know how things should be. Let me change the world. I'll go into government. A Republican, or I should say, a conservative says, you know, I I I sometimes feel like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should run for some kind of office because I would fight for smaller government. But in the end, I don't wanna go there for more than 1 or 2 terms. I would go there for, like, okay, I'd feel
Right.
like I did my part. Now somebody else gotta step up, right? But these people are all turning into these career politicians that make it their life to control us,
Yes.
and that's where we're
And,
failing.
it would just coming to the part I left off was that um, we do have to start sending some number of our sons and daughters into public service.
Sure.
And, we haven't been emphasizing that. I never talked to my kids about possibly going into politics, but I think maybe I should have that conversation with my daughter. She'd be great.
Yeah.
She's tough
I mean,
and she's a conservative.
the scary part of politics is not to me is that, how can I put this? Um, the undue stress that's going to be on my family because of the tax and all the things that are going to come with it.
Sure.
Like I said, they're going to pull from this channel and be like, Jason said this about George Floyd, and it's like, I didn't say anything about George Floyd except the truth. But they're going to cut out this one clip, this one sentence, and they're going to be like, he said this about George Floyd. Can you believe that? He thinks George Floyd should have been killed. And it's like, I never said that. But they're going to make it look like I said
Sure.
these things, right? And that I'm that
You
and
spend
and
all of your time trying to fight off the stuff
and then
they're
before
saying.
you know it, the wife is going taking the kid to school, and the school's like, you know what, we don't think your kid should be at this school because of the problems that we're having now, because your husband, that's a sad part of reality, and that's what they're doing to us, and maybe that's sad that I don't want to take that on. But it's like I said, there's a lot of people right now who I had a good friend I played in a band with, and we talked politics all the time. Finally, one day he just called me and was like, listen, Jason, I love talking politics with you. I'm done. I'm so beat down from all the energy and time. I don't want to do it anymore. I want to concentrate on my music. I want to concentrate on my wife. I want to concentrate on the things I want to spend time on. I am done.
And we
And I
all
get
should
it.
be doing that.
I
We
get
all
it.
should be doing that. I don't understand why the left has so little faith in the organic. I mean, we're always talking about we have to have organic food, and we have to, let nature do its thing. But they don't. That never applies to human nature. They don't ever think that human nature is the natural world. They want to save the natural world. I'm going to go sit in a tree for a year to make sure that an old growth forest doesn't get chopped down. They they revere nature as long as it's not human.
Right.
But when it's human, they want nothing other than to change human nature in every possible way or outright deny it.
That's
You know,
right.
there are certain things that humans can do and certain things they can't do. We can't change at the speed of a college sophomore's new idea for the week.
That's
We
right.
can't change society at that speed.
One guy got one college student, I think, got kicked out of school for saying on a video, "I believe a man is a man and a woman is a woman." Like
And he gets kicked
that's
out of school for stating just
like
a very plain fact. We're-
I mean, that's and now when this guy decides he's going to run for office, it's going to be like he's a transphobe, he's a whatever. He got kicked out of school because he hates gays. It's going to be all that stuff. He's like,
Yeah.
I never said I hated anybody. I just this is how I see it. Mike versus everyone wrote, "You guys are an inspiration." Oh, thank you. I don't see us that way, but again, I'm looking at myself. I started my own channel recently. If anyone wants to check it out, I could use some support. You guys rock. Well, good luck, Mike. I hope he does well.
So that's the name of Mike's channel, right?
I guess
So
Mike versus everyone.
Mike versus everyone. Let's all go over there and check Mike versus everyone. We're about done here.
Don't just subscribe. Let's make sure it's good content, Mike.
Yeah, because other than that, we're enabling you.
Right? We
Mike.
don't want to enable bad YouTube creators.
If we
No,
go over
we're
there and you're
kidding with
just
you.
drunk and out of control.
We can't take that. No, maybe it's a good channel. Check it out if you guys want to. JC Bridge, thank you again. The thing with the so-called news, which is evil propaganda of the left, is not to watch it. Yeah, I agree with that. You better watch Tom and Jerry. You won't be allowed to watch Tom and Jerry soon. DuckTales or Popeye the Sailor. These channels are dangerous, gaslighting people. Yeah.
Well, this has been kind of nice here. We're probably running over time here.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, TC.
But it's been nice to
6
interact with you guys
info.
a little bit more.
Yeah, we were talking about it today. We started off this morning with, "What do you want to talk about?" It's like, "I got some stuff." It's like, "Not really. Let's just talk." And then we said, "Let's talk to you guys," because I mean, this is the thing that's different about these live streams than our channel, than our normal videos.
Yeah.
We're giving you our opinion. We're giving you, how we see something. We're explaining something to you. And then this one, hey, we get a chance to talk with you guys. And then boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. That was a great scene in Kindergarten Cop. Yeah, that was such a great scene. And it was kind of, a little on edge actually back then, but now that's not allowed.
Yeah, I mean, I had a little moment. Oh, it was down there. I stopped to get my Coke filled at the service station down at the corner and gas my truck up. And I went inside, and Lupe is the woman who works in there, and we have this little bit of, we're very good friends. And once in a while she wears her hair down, and I flirt with her because she's wearing her hair down. So she had her hair down today, but I didn't see it. I was over there putting ice in my cup, right? And I look up, and she's like standing there, and she's like doing this. Like that with her hair long like this.
She's looking good.
And I like drop the ice. It goes all over the floor. she goes, "I thought you were better than that."
You're smoother than that.
Yeah. I mean, I just had a visceral reaction to a woman with her hair down.
That's
who's just,
you're in isolation too long when the lady at the gas station gets you going like that.
Yeah.
No, Mike,
guys are not women.
Yeah.
Guys are not women.
Mike versus everyone. You guys will like my content. I'm fighting the culture war, and I'm on your team, LOL. And then David Moffat wrote, "Thanks for doing what you do. You are loved."
Oh, thank you, David. Thank you, man.
Yeah, we're trying, man. And yeah, there's times that we don't feel like we're inspired to write something. Sometimes you're super inspired, and but this channel's been nothing but a blessing, and you guys who watch it on a regular basis, we can't thank you enough. Hey, thanks, James.
It's good. So coming up in this coming week, the only thing that I know of is I did a podcast, put it in the can yesterday, with a very interesting woman who I met, and she is in the carbon industry as an entrepreneur. She works in North Dakota. She's sort of in compliance. She's in the compliance field where, there's all kinds of different laws and insurance, types of insurance. And she helps all the people dealing with all these regs at all the different levels of, fracking and getting that stuff out of the ground and getting it to market. She helps in the compliance thing. And she also is a singer-songwriter in Los Angeles, and a really good one. And so she splits her time between these two places with stop-offs in Houston, Texas. So, she's really active and involved in the business world and also in the artistic world and the cultural world. And she's super smart. And she's coming on. We're talking about the oil industry and the impact that the Biden's having and whatnot. And it was just one of those things, kind of like this, where you sit down, let's talk about some issues, and you end up just talking about people.
Yeah.
You know?
No, so that's coming up.
Coming up this week. I got to edit it.
I'm probably going to do something on the Derek Chauvin trial. That's coming up. I got a piece I've been working on for that. But yeah, you know, things pop up with our videos. Something in the news pops up, and then you go like, oh, I haven't heard anybody write it, explain it like this. This will help people understand, if you will. I think a lot of times I picture, or I think of our videos as being helping you guys explain something that you agree with, but you don't really sometimes. So there's been many things I'll be like, I can't really put it into words, but I agree with this. And then we come along sometimes when we write it out, and you think about it and you write it out and you think about it and you go over it and you go like, oh, let me say it this way. And then people go, oh, I love how you explained that. And I'm wanting to give that to you guys. So when you're talking to your friend, you go, look at it this way, or you send them our video or so on. And I think that's what this channel's been.
It's a little easier to send a video and just send a video to someone and said, hey, these guys are reasonable. I think this is a good explanation.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of where I stand on this. And then you don't actually have to have the argument with somebody yourself.
Right.
As opposed to, you know, getting our argument and then adapting it into a personal argument. Sometimes it's best to have that deflected thing over there and say, well, you know, you sent me that video about minimum wage or something like that. Well, let me send you this, because this is kind of the way I see it. And then it's like, okay, you don't have to necessarily go hammer and tongs yourself with your buddy or your brother or whatever.
But if you do pick up a good argument or a good thing from us, that's awesome.
Lay them to waste.
JC Bridge, love you both so much. God bless you. It's 9 o'clock in Holland right now. God bless all USA.
JC's going to be sleeping under a bridge if she keeps giving us all her money.
I know. I will donate. I will always donate to you. Love you and peace. I miss Trump. Yeah, a lot of people miss Trump.
Yeah.
Miriam Betram, you two have been the port in the storm for me. I'm in Irvine, 70 years old. Thanks, Miriam.
Wow, that's very nice.
That's
of
great.
You.
And
that's
then Connor Parks, any tips for dating a liberal with a bleeding heart? She's a good woman, but I feel like she doesn't understand conservatism, the right-wing mindset. Connor, he would be the guy that has some experience with this. I really don't.
This is my advice to you. Do not ask if it's okay to kiss her. You know, if there's a couch or a bed nearby, just grab her, throw her on the couch. In my experience, liberals who have been surrounded by liberal men, they need a little manliness. And of course, I was exaggerating a little bit like that, but be who you are. Be who you are. And don't feel like you have to convert her.
Yeah, and you don't have to explain everything about being a conservative, everything about, that's what I imagine, everything about politics and the world around us. And then find those moments when she says, oh, look at this article, or look, I can't believe this. Can you believe this? And it's something about some issue that you know about. Then be like, oh, well, some people would say this, right? You don't have to go like, oh man, those people are flipping crazy. You know, you don't have to,
because she's going to hear that as you're flipping crazy.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and with my ex-girlfriend, Vicky, you know, she literally lives a stone's throw from the Sunset Strip in West Hollywood, right? I mean, literally, you could stand out in front of her place and you could chuck a stone to the Sunset Strip.
Yeah.
And we got along really well for a few years, and we did not talk politics. But she started wanting to talk politics more and more. She was getting interested in politics, and I'm going, oh, you know, this is going to ruin things. So actually what I had said to her one night, this is the true story. She'd come over and I was cooking dinner, and she started, you know, kind of winding into some politics. And I said, Vicky, on nights when we're having like a date night, could we just not talk politics? Because I get frustrated and then I don't feel intimate anymore, you know? And she says, oh, I thought you liked talking politics. You know, she assumed that because I have a channel where I talk politics, you know, so I guess she put two and two together. And I said, I do, but I want to keep our relationship on these nights when we're getting together away from that. And for some reason, she really took offense at that. She thought I was putting a constraint and a limitation on the relationship. And in
Yeah.
a way, I was putting a constraint and a limitation on the relationship. I didn't
Right.
want it to get sullied with all this nastiness that's going on. And I haven't really seen her since.
You didn't want to be angry with her while
Yeah.
you guys were
Next thing I know, she'd blocked me on Facebook, and the relationship was over.
the gutologist. You guys are great. Keep up the great work. Love the writing. Love the independent spirit. When you're in Kentucky, look me up. I'll make you a coffee. Well, I'm from Kentucky originally, and I'll probably be going back there fairly soon, probably.
And he promised
year
me
or
a couple of
two.
guitar lessons too,
Oh, okay, so
which I sorely need.
yeah, don't we all?
Yeah.
Anyway, guys,
Take care of yourself, Brad.
thanks for everything. We don't forget to check our if you want a shirt or a coffee mug, you can go on Teespring and check that out.
Yeah, they have
Um,
Steven Crowder's stuff there too, I hear.
At Teespring. And then but no, thanks again for tuning in. And
I'm thinking
you know-
about developing a line of designer flannel shirts.
why not? A big blue collar thing on it to be good. But we'll see you guys soon. I'm going to play our little outro here.
Yeah, thanks guys so much.
And we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for your generosity. Appreciate it.
For serious. We'll see you soon.